Hey everybody, welcome back to the weekly WP Roundup with BJ Keeton. That's me. I work at Elegant Themes as a content creator, and every week I get together some of the best news, tutorials, and resources that were really published this week, and we go over them, try to make your next week a little bit better, and really just talk as a group and see what's been going on this week and how we can help each other and how we can get to know each other a little bit. It's Friday afternoon, so we really want to try and make the afternoon go by just a little bit more quickly. I'm seeing some comments in the YouTube channel already. Hi guys, I see a lot of French, and I am very sorry that I do not speak any kind of French. That is something that is absolutely not me, and I truly apologize for that one. You probably don't want to hear me speak any of the small bits of other languages I speak anyway. So if you've never joined us before, the way that we do this is it's very casual. If you have any questions, throw them in the comments, and if I can answer them, I certainly will try. Somebody in the comments usually has an answer to be able to work stuff out. So, you know, troubleshooting, anything you're proud of, just throw it in the comments on either YouTube or Facebook. We're streaming there simultaneously. All of the links that I've put together this week, all of the articles, are always in the description of this video, so you can just you can expand the description of this video and see everything and follow along, or just bookmark all of them, keep them in tabs, and just give the content creators some love who've made all of this stuff possible. That said, I'll probably get distracted at some point just looking at the comments, since we try to be interactive, and so be prepared for that one. I see on Facebook I actually need to expand my Facebook window a little bit more, because I've got comments that I couldn't read. Hi guys, hi to Spain, hi to Austria, hi waving people. So I do see a question from Daniel on YouTube about when you'll have custom posts and archives and taxonomy pages and a complete theme builder. We are working on dynamic content in the theme builder right now. I haven't been given a date on when that's probably going to come through, but it is coming through. We're working on it, and we've did a sneak preview, I think a sneak peek, back in April maybe, and I know that's been a while away, but I know that there's been a lot of headway made on it, but I have no clue on when it's actually going to be released, because that's something that I want too. I want the dynamic content and the theme builder part of it itself. I know that toolset and ACF integration is something that I honestly don't know if it's in the works. And that is because I'm not involved in it. Don't take that as a we're as a company not doing that, because I honestly don't know. I know it was brought up a couple of weeks ago. We went on our retreat, and some of the discussion was about toolset specifically and how it interacted with Divi and other themes and things like that. So I know that we've talked about it, but other than that, I'm not privy to those discussions. So just know that they are aware of the need. So I have, like I said, no clue other than that. So with that said, that kind of brings me into with the theme builder and everything like that. That's a pretty good segue into the news. We have a release date for WordPress 5. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but this week, Matt Mullenweg and a bunch of the other folks who have been contributing on WordPress Core and the Gutenberg project have released a tentative schedule for WordPress 5.0. And that's important, because for those of you who have been following along, and for those of you who may not have been, Gutenberg releases in WordPress 5.0. We are tentative on the date being November 19th. They are doing a release candidate this month. I don't remember the exact dates. I'm going to have to check the link. I actually posted the WP Tavern link instead of the official make.wordpress link that they made, because this one has commentary from Matt and some of the others in it, and it's very important, I think. They did say that the release schedule was, I'm pulling up the official one right now to see, because I didn't have it loaded like I did the other. Beta 1 for Gutenberg, it might as well be Gutenberg. Beta 1 for WordPress 5.0 was October 19th. Then October 30th, the day before Halloween, we have release candidate 1, so that is what will probably end up being close to the final product. And then November 19th is the scheduled release. They have a lot of time to still do that. I'm a little scared of it. Personally, I think that it is being pushed, and I say pushed in the release date. It's being pushed out before WordCamp US happens in the first week of December. I just can't get my months straight this time. We're having WordCamp US in Nashville December 5th and 6th, or maybe 7th and 8th. Maybe 5th and 6th was last year. Regardless, that first week of December, we're having WordCamp US, which is where State of the Word comes in. Matt Mullenweg talks a lot about it. There tends to be a really huge crowd. Lots of Gutenberg talk this year will be going on because last year there was a lot of panels about it. And with it having been released just before that conference, it makes sense for them to put the date like this. But I wanted you guys to be aware of that, to keep your minds open for that and your eyes open, because the 19th, the November 19th, is close to Thanksgiving, if that's not Thanksgiving in the United States. For you U.S. folks, Thanksgiving 2018. Yeah, Thursday, November 22nd is the Thanksgiving in the United States. So that's going to be it's a holiday weekend, and the 19th is when they're planning on releasing this. So your clients may have a conniption on that week. So make sure that you're prepared for that release. It may be installing the Classic Editor plugin. It may be installing one of the stop auto updates plugins, or editing the code, whatever it is that you do, or let it update and see what happens. But I wanted to let you guys know that we finally have a date for this. They are talking about having secondary release candidates and things going on and fixes into January. They have a secondary release on January 22nd, it looks like, where I'm not sure what they end up doing with the secondary releases, to be honest. I've never really covered one of the major point releases like this, so it's going to be interesting. If they don't make... Oh, that's what it is. Excuse me. I didn't even think about it. If they don't make the November 19th release, they will probably make the January 22nd. I'm hopeful that they don't, because with the holidays coming up everywhere, it's probably going to be a nightmare for people getting it out by the end of the year, but it is very important for them to get it out soon, because they've been working on it for so long, and it's taking so many resources. Excuse me one sec, I have to take a drink. So, that in mind, I also wanted to... Let me see where I'm at here. I also wanted to just make sure, like I said, that that everything this year was... I lost my... live, right? I also wanted to make sure that you are aware that there is probably going to be a new theme coming out with Gutenberg, with WordPress 5.0. At the State of the Word last year, Matt said that he wasn't going to release a new theme, and that now, with this announcement, he mentioned that there would be a new 2019 theme probably releasing with 5.0. So that's kind of a turnaround on that, but I understand why, because there is a base Gutenberg theme that's been going around for people to use, and it makes sense to have something that is built specifically for this new builder with the release of 5.0. So there is going to be that. So just make sure that everything is kosher on your end, and everything is smoothed out by the end of the year. So that's very important to have a release date on that. That said, we have also released a fantastic new feature on Elegant Themes with Divi. We have a new feature released this week, and I'm really excited about this one. This was the hover options, the Divi hover options. If you haven't updated your Divi installation yet, please do. You're going to love these, where you can now automatically put hover effects on, where when someone mouses over and hovers on something, you can animate or have other things go on and interact with them. This is a much asked for feature. A lot of people have been wanting this because otherwise you're having to do a whole lot of CSS to be able to animate things and for hover effects, and it's not nearly as easy as clicking a couple of things in the module and making sure that they work. So they are gorgeous, and I expect that Donietta and Jason are going to have some really awesome tutorials soon with those. So you'll probably want to update and take a look at those. Have any of you guys played with them yet? If you've played with the hover options and have anything cool you'd like to share, please throw whatever you've got in the comments. I know that a lot of times links don't work on there a lot, so put spaces where you need to make it show up if you need to share your work. So also, speaking of Gutenberg, they did release I don't even know how to. They released the leads, but they are moving through different phases. That now with the release of 5.0, we're moving into phase 2 of Gutenberg, which means that they're going to be taking away widgets and making them boxes instead of blocks. They are making. Excuse me. They are making them blocks. For some reason, I thought they were calling them boxes on that one. But they're taking everything out like that and replacing it with blocks. They're going to be being able to register a sidebar. You're going to be able to upgrade menus, they say, to a navigation block. Things like that. That's going to be the next phase of Gutenberg. They have different people that they've announced on here, that Alexis Lloyd and I'm not sure who @Riyadh is on the technical side is what they say, but they are moving forward with phase 2 to be able to make it a full theme builder is what they're really looking for on that. They've announced last year that was the end goal, was to make sure that they have a theme builder built in. And like I've said in the past, I don't think that's going to really impact the long-term effects of page builders, of Divi or anything else, because we do so much more than what Gutenberg can do. That is something that we're not afraid of losing customers to, losing users to. We know that when they reach the limitations of that, they're going to come to an option like us when they need it. So same for you guys. Don't worry. None of this is going to affect you or your jobs like this with Divi. You're good to go. So, but I thought it was interesting to look that the very next thing, once they get it out the door, is them moving directly into the theme building aspects of it with widgets and menus and all of that. So that was kind of interesting. And also, since it's October, I had to bring this up, that Hacktoberfest is going on again. If you have any of you guys done it? Because I love the idea of Hacktober, but it's not something that is really within my wheelhouse to do. What it is a community challenge, a community get-together, a community event where it's committing to open source. It is contributing and doing what you can to get as much open source work done during the month of October as you can. DigitalOcean and Twilio and a few others support this and sponsor this every year. And last year, 5 years later, 100,000 developers, 120 countries, and 400,000 pull requests have been made over 5 years just during these Hacktober months. So this is something that if you're wanting to get into contributing to open source, this is a really good way to do it, especially because you can sign up on some of this stuff on here, and you can get a t-shirt for contributing to and making 5 real pull requests to different repos. It's very interesting to see, because I really like the stuff that goes on with Hacktoberfest. I like hackathons and stuff like that too, and with it just being something that they do every October, that this is the 5th year of doing it, I thought some of you guys may want to do it, might want to actually hack a little bit, get some contributions going, and it doesn't have to be code. keep that in mind, that I stress this all the time, that open source is not only for coders. You can do it with design, you can submit documentation. Those kinds of pull requests are just as important as code-based pull requests, because you can't, do anything if the user doesn't know what to do and if it's ugly. So if you're a designer or a writer, consider contributing that way as well, because you don't have to want to do something like that. You don't have to code to be able to want to do something like that. And Goshen Webb says you're going to need more than a t-shirt. I do so many things for t-shirts. It's weird. If somebody says that that's one of the things, a lot of runners are like, oh, I got another t-shirt. What am I going to do with it? I'm like, oh, I love it. It's like, I love these t-shirts. I probably won't wear it more than once or twice, but I love getting them. I don't know what it is. Like, I just love it. Like, oh, a free t-shirt. I'll do that. And I'm very glad that I do, too, because when I gained a little bit of weight over the last couple of months that I'm working on losing, and some of those shirts I've gotten free have come in very useful over the summer. So maybe I do need a Hacktoberfest t-shirt. I see Isom says that it'll affect Gutenberg in particular, will affect Wix-type companies more than Divi-type companies, and I think you're right. I think that Wix and Squarespace, and right now I'm blanking on some of the other page builders like that. Sorry, I bumped the table. I think they're going to be the ones that really get affected pretty hard initially. The only thing, well, I don't say initially. Let me take that back. I don't think they're going to be affected initially because WordPress is not doing a lot of marketing right now to combat those. That Wix goes out and they really, really hit advertising hard to let you know what their product is. And so there are Hulu ads, there are TV ads everywhere about Wix. And I see it Squarespace as well. WordPress hasn't put any easy page builder stuff like that out, and I'm kind of expecting it to happen when Gutenberg releases and really becomes this stable thing that they're doing to attract new users. I think that they're probably going to really target in on that same demographic that Wix is, to show them like, hey guys, you can do this for free and there are no limitations, that kind of thing, as opposed to always having a monthly fee with Wix or Squarespace. I think that may be their marketing tactic, and if it's not, it should be. Says the guy who's not a marketer. But I think you're absolutely right. I think that Wix is going to be hit hard with those as well, and there are always going to be people who want that, who don't want to use Gutenberg or WordPress just because they don't want to deal with any of the other stuff that goes along with it, that they don't want to deal with hosting or all of that. But I think they're going to, like you said, they're going to take a hit. So move on into the tutorials. That was all of the news that happened this week, but honestly it was big news week. It was a big news week this week. Not only did we have the hover options, which are really, really, really awesome, but we had a Gutenberg release date. We have a 5.0 release date, which is super, super important. Isom, did you see the WordPress commercial leaning that way? That's awesome. I need to look that up, because the only WordPress ones that I've seen have been not so technical ones. They've been more the kind that Google puts out, the catering to human beings kind of stuff, of the emotional, like, oh, this is what you can do with it. It'd be interesting to see. I would like to see that, because I hope they do. I hope they actually have that, and I'm glad to see that they've already got stuff like that moving forward. But if you're new to the show, if you're just joining in, moving into the tutorials now, where we finished up the news, and in the tutorial section, these are things that I've found in general that can probably be integrated at some point into your repertoire. There is something where excuse me, I got distracted again. I told you that I would get distracted by the by the comments. Robert mentioned, is there a tutorial for the hover options? And I know that that on Monday at 6 a.m. Eastern time, there is a live stream that Mac does, and that should be what his topic is over this week, is doing tutorials with the hover options. And I would not doubt, I haven't seen the schedule yet, but I would not doubt that there are quite a few tutorial hover option tutorials that are going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks, with while Donietta and Jason play with it and figure out exactly, what cool stuff you can do with it. But Monday would definitely be something I would look at, because Mac always goes through new features and kind of walks you through and really gives you that tutorial on how to use it. It's very good. And if 6 a.m. Eastern is way too early for you to be able to do, I totally understand. I am absolutely 100% behind you in saying that is not a time I'm going to watch a live stream, but it means that you will be able to watch it anytime. It'll be on YouTube and on Facebook after it's finished. So I would totally check that out if I were you, Robert. That's I wish I had some to show you in the tutorial section here, but we will have them soon. I just don't know what particular shape they're going to take yet, but knowing Jason and Donietta, I think we're going to have some good stuff. The first one that I really wanted to talk about under the tutorials was a WP Shout one. I'm not going to go too terribly into it. It's just something that I wanted you guys to think about. They actually link to a guide on WP Bullet that is finding the database, getting into the database for plugins that sometimes you're going to need to use, get into those plugins more and more, that when something goes wrong. And if you're on the more technical end and you have had issues with plugins and you need to get in on that, that's a very good one, because it breaks it down step by step by step on getting in with like WP CLI, and as well as the PHP itself and the database and SQL and all of it. So it's good, very technical though, so that may be something that you look into if you're interested in it. Next, I always want to call out, I was mentioning the tutorials that Jason and Donietta do. I do want to point out a couple that they did this week, specifically one for Jason on how to extend modules to create unique column layouts in Divi. And what I really liked about this one was that we do have the new column sections. Column sections, that's not how they're done. We have the new column options that you can use to be able to get 5 or 6 columns now instead of the standard 3. And with that, you can also follow this tutorial on making sure that they're overlapping one another, and you can do a lot of unique stuff with this. And the description, the example that Jason did here, it looks kind of like the Metro stuff that Windows has used. And whether you like it or whether you don't, the blocks-based design that he has is beautiful, and being able to do that with just modules and some styling within Divi is really cool. So if you haven't played with our new column options and you want to see how you can really do some cool stuff with it, you can check that one out. That one is also neat, always neat. And then I put this one under tutorials. It's the 4th one down, I think. It's the Caroline's Corner from Yoast. And when I saw this, I had to bring this up, because it's something that I've dealt with for years, and it's something that I think a lot of you may be dealing with in the WordPress sphere, and potentially others. They were talking about how to stay unique despite being one of many bloggers in your niche, that it's a very saturated market in most areas right now. That 2018 it's easy to get online, start writing about something, and really put your heart in it, and find out that there are tons of other people who are already doing something very close to what you're doing. And so when I ran across this one and the advice that she was giving in statistics and all of this, that she's talking about like I said, I've been fighting this. And over the past few years, I've worked on a fitness blog that I really care about, and it never quite got the traction that I wanted it to. That I've got people, I've got readers, I've got all of this, and it's great, but I never really hit the levels in the fitness niche that I wanted to, and that's okay. That's because I've hit what works for me. I've hit a group that I know, and that's what she's really talking about, is this personal branding on knowing what you're doing, who you're doing it for, and really making sure that you interact with them and that you're providing the value for them, that you don't have to be the, gigantic fish in that gigantic pond. You can be the little fish and still reach your goals. You just have to make them very adequate, not adequate, appropriate for what you're doing. She talks about having micro influencing, which I thought was interesting. She was talking about how her Instagram, she gets 12% engagement, and the average for people with her level of followers is 8. So she's doing more than that, more than what the average is, and so that means that she's succeeding within her area. So that's the reason I actually wanted to bring this one up, was so that if you get frustrated at not getting numbers like you want, that if you're looking at the analytics and they're not quite what you expect them to be or projected them to be, that to look at how you're doing, not necessarily what your users are doing, but how you're interacting with them and what kind of changes you've made. The number of emails that I've gotten about the fitness stuff and weight loss have more than made up for the fact that I'm not making $1 million with that blog. But I've actually had some really, really good success stories from people, and that kind of thing just makes me happy. So when I saw this on how to stay unique, it talks about personal branding and making sure that you are interacting with those people in a way that is genuine and that gets them to engage. I see that Uncle Social has now joined us. Oh, you were donating blood. Good job. That is wonderful. That is something that I have never done. I know that I should, and I have not yet. I may in the future, because that's something that I get a little ooked out about. It's the blood watching. I know I shouldn't. It's a thing, and I'm very for it. So do that. Anyway, moving on. Like I said, the tutorials were there. Not a lot that was going on under the tutorials this week. They have Katsu Code has a post that's how to make your website stand out and attract more visitors. I thought it was interesting on this one, because it's just stuff that we need to keep in mind. They're very general ideas, write interesting content and things like that, but sometimes the one thing on here that really is why I wanted to share this was have navigation links easy to find, is because lately I've been having issues on a lot of websites that I cannot find a menu, that I'm looking and I can't find where they put their menu because it's not up top, that there's not really a good icon, and I'm just like, why can I not find where I need to go to sign in? And it's just really crazy to me that navigation isn't as simple as it should be. So sometimes it's good just to be able to think about, keeping those, how can I even phrase that? Sometimes it's good to keep the simple things in mind, the basic things in mind, because it's really easy to forget them. And WP Beginner put out a how to style the WordPress comment form article, and this gets brought up a lot because the WordPress comments form is kind of ugly. You can do a lot with it, but it generally takes CSS. And so if you don't know the CSS elements, if you don't know what to grab and what to target, then you are not going to be able to make a very pretty comments form, and it's not going to be a very attractive comment section. So they have some stuff on here. It has the CSS on here that you can copy and expand on really making a go of it, making it something way more than standard. So if you want to dig in on that and you've looked at yours and you don't want to use Discuss, you don't want to use any of the other third-party comments plugins, like you don't want to be like Uncle Social and use Facebook comments on all of your websites, then you should probably look at this one and see the kinds of elements that you can grab and what you can interact with, because you can absolutely target a lot easier than you probably expect. And then the very last one kind of goes in under tutorials. This one goes in with the Hacktoberfest that I was talking about earlier. That this one was how to start contribute. This one is start contributing to open source, and this one is an interpretive how-to. This one is you read this interview and you get a feel for how to go about working in open source. This is not a step-by-step tutorial. This is not something where it's like, okay, first you go to GitHub. Then it's not something like that. This is talking about how open source is, why you would want to get involved, and what those first steps may look like on just what the first kinds of contributions can be. You can do a lot of different stuff as a first contribution to open source, and it's great. I really, really liked this interview. He talks about what you can learn from open source and what good it does, and how it can improve the quality of products by open sourcing them. And there's just a lot going on there. And to finish out the tutorial section, I really wanted to make sure that you look at that. It is very good. So, like I said, the tutorial section today was a little leaner than I usually do, but I wanted to just kind of get them out there, talk about them a little bit, and move forward, because I so rarely get into the resources I find, because we're talking, I'm yammering, and I wanted to get to some of these, because there were a couple on here that I've had to Google a bit myself. That's like the first one, that it's just a Flywheel article that's called "What is cloud hosting?" And that's a simple question that does not necessarily have a simple answer, because you're going to look at hosts and you're going to see different options, and you're going to see the managed WordPress hosting, you're going to see cloud hosting, you're going to see the normal hosting, you're going to see these discount shared hosting plans. And when you think about the cloud, I mean, the cloud, all any of this is your website sitting on somebody else's computer somewhere else in a server farm. The cloud and managed servers and all of this, they're just different configurations of somebody else's computer. And so I wanted you to look at this on what the differences were specifically with cloud hosting, because they started out by saying, with traditional hosting, I'm just going to read this, you have one physical server that keeps your site up and running and connects to your data center. Like, all of them are on the same box right there. Cloud hosting uses a network of servers that does that. It's not the cloud. As they say, cloud hosting does not completely get rid of servers and data centers. It's actually a certain server configuration that's built to optimize web performance and optimize performance for your web infrastructure. It's a different configuration. It's the way that it's put together, and it's not sitting all in one spot, which you're going to pay more for, because it's more effective, speedier a little bit. It's not nearly as prone to like shared servers, where you've got different people doing different things, and if Joe on this side does something wrong, you can get hacked. So it's a little different, and just read through the entire thing. It's awesome, because when you're looking at all of the options that you've got at a host, and especially if you're talking with clients and you need to explain this to them, that they look at the plans and they don't know the difference, and you try to explain the difference in cloud hosting and the $2.99 hosting they're going to get from GoDaddy, you're going to need to be able to specifically talk to them about it. That the more you can be sure, and the more you can be like, well, yeah, it's not like that, you don't want to do that. The more you can be specific, the more you can tell them and show them your expertise, the easier your job is going to be. So read up on that if you need anything, where with very specific information there. Uncle Social says GoDaddy and HostGator are sewer hosting. Now that's going the opposite of cloud hosting is sewer hosting. That's an interesting way to do it. Although I have heard, and this is where I'm going to get shot down, about the GoDaddy Premium stuff, the like super high end stuff that they're trying to do for business. I've heard good things about it. I've not tried it personally, but I've heard that it is far better than their bargain basement stuff, which I've never had any luck with. In fact, my wife told me this morning that a website she was working on went haywire on it, and I believe that it's probably a server issue because of that. So anyway, the second resource that I have on here is something that I love this one, y'all. Torque put out Torque magazine is the do's and don'ts of blogging from your cell phone, from your smartphone, and I thought this was great because I've known people who blog and they do their work from their cell phones. That they're sitting in Starbucks or a line or on the metro, whatever it is that you're doing, they're sitting and they're actually writing and doing it. And this one goes through why you don't want to do that. That to say connecting with your readers is one of the things they bring up. It's the first thing that they bring up about that the importance of blogging with your cell phone. They talk about connecting with readers, right? So they say do use your smartphone to reply to comments quickly and efficiently. And like the WordPress app is great for this. That if you've not tried the WordPress mobile app in a while, I've actually started using it. And I've actually started using it to reply to comments and talk to people on there because it works, that it's fast and it's not getting hung up like it used to. So if I'm sitting somewhere and I get a comment that I see, I'm like, oh, I can just reply to that right now. I have something quick to say, where it's not going to be this long, drawn out kind of post where I'm writing 1,500 words or more, which they say don't use your smartphone to create full-length blog posts. And the reason they say this are, well, the reasons they say this are mainly that you can't write something good on a cell phone. Like, I know that some people are better at composing on different media than others, different platforms. I've written blogs on my cell phone before. I've been behind on my articles, and I have been at the doctor's office and waiting to get in, and I have pulled out my handy dandy note and I have written a draft of what I needed to write out. But let me point out the word that I used there. It's a draft. I did not try to finish my work on my phone. Never, ever, ever do that. It's great for getting ideas down. Like, I will write out an outline or a skeleton of a post, and that'll be one thing. That I'll be in Samsung Notes or soon, just when I get my iPhone next week, Notes or whatever they call it now, and I'll be writing it out. I'll be writing things in Ulysses or in Bear. Fine. But I always take it and put it in an editor, get back to a computer, and flesh it out. Because for some reason, when I'm typing with my thumbs, I'm not nearly as robust with my vocabulary and explanations as I am when I can actually just type it out on a keyboard. So don't do that. If you think that you can put an entire day's work out on a cell phone while you're out, don't. Please don't. Like, there's just so much that can go wrong with it. And you might do well with it. That's the thing. You might, but it's not great. The thing they talk about is like, do use your smartphone to create and format micro posts. Great. I tweet all the time. You know, you've got small posts you need to do. If I need to throw something up on my blog that's an announcement, things like that are great. But, you know, don't try to format any kind of major post on a smartphone screen. It talks about, like, you know how mobile apps do. I mean, you can even edit your websites in Divi on the mobile. Like, we've made changes to it so that it works really well on mobile browsers, but it's only for tweaks. I would not suggest doing a major design on mobile using any kind of builder. You know, they talk about adding engaging imagery that, you know, you can use there are a lot of really good photo apps out there. I don't know if you guys have messed with a lot of them, but there are some very robust photo editing apps out there. Snapseed and the Photoshop, I don't even know what it's called. It may just be called Photoshop. That these are great, great options for photo editing. You can do a lot on those. But they say don't search for stock images from a smartphone. It takes forever. Like, that's the main thing that they're talking about, is like, when I'm looking for stock photos, when I'm going through and trying to find something that I need a stock image for, I'm going through hundreds of these. And it's right, you're looking at I'm looking at 100 images a page. I'm just scrolling out, nope, 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 nope. On a mobile screen, it's like, nah. Okay, I've seen 5 now, where you cannot get through the same volume, so you're probably not going to be able to make the best choice for things like that. Getting ideas, sure, but actually, like before, finalizing it is the issue. It talks about social media and things like that as well. But I thought this was a really interesting blog about blogging, because there are things that we've all done and are probably doing that honestly we should probably consider changing our habits on. That I've now learned what I can and what I can't do, and have a workflow that when I have to move around and be mobile, what I can actually do on mobile. And then underneath that, WP Mayer has put out an article about international SEO. And, our trip to Spain recently has really gotten me thinking a lot more globally. It was the first time I'd left the United States. So, of course, I'm still in that, man, that was awesome phase. And so when I saw this one, it talks about a lot, actually. It talks about, using the WordPress multi-language plugin that you can do so many things with making sure that everything auto-translates. And the thing it's talking about SEO is it mentions that some countries respond differently to commerce, to buying, that not every country is as materialistic and consumer based as America is. So what works in America and what SEO strategies you're using to attract American users may not work to get Catalonian users. So you're going to have to really target in specific ways if you're trying to move out of a specific demographic, global demographic, or a national demographic, excuse me. He says that living in Spain, on the other hand, I observed that most people only read books in Spanish, search online using Spanish phrases, and don't often speak any other language other than Spanish. That means for my content website to have a remote chance of getting traffic in Spain, I'd have to translate all that content into Spanish and then go into keywords, and there's all of that, which can take a long time. That's where the multi-language plugin comes in. But also, it means that if all you have are English products, especially if you do digital products, you may not be attracting that base. So if you end up targeting people in with different languages and focusing just a tiny bit on international SEO, that you could really raise your revenue and bringing people in by being more inclusive in that manner. And I don't want to say not ignoring them, but actually particularly catering to a different audience in a different way is a good idea. It's a fairly long post. It's kind of a dense post, so I like it, and you should definitely read it. And my favorite of all of them, my favorite of everything that was out this week, is a Profit Press article that I've linked to called The Ultimate List of WordPress and Remote Job Sites, because that's how I found this job. I am huge fan of job repositories, job directories, and that are not something like Indeed or Monster, which are great. I mean, I've looked and applied to many jobs on those over the years, but there are a lot more job boards than that. That not everyone has that kind of job. where there are so many things like you can look on Indeed, Upwork, all that, but they list all sorts of stuff for freelancers where you can go get just gigs and individual projects, angel list, things like that. They actually have a Stack Overflow job board, if you didn't know, where developers can post jobs. There's things on Reddit. And my favorite one, the one that I actually used to get my job here that I found the job posting on, was Flex Jobs. It's on here. And I had to make sure it was on here first because that was what I went. I was like, I'm going to look and make sure they have Flex Jobs on there. That way I could tell whether or not it was legit, and it wasn't just the same kind of list you see all the time. I've probably spoken about Flex Jobs before, but it being on here meant that this was very trustworthy in my mind because it's very good, and ended up landing me a job that I think that if you want to do anything, that some of these are like Dribble Job for designers and how you get invited on there. But there are things like Flex Jobs and Freelancer that you can go on and look at. And if you're always looking for clients, for contracts, don't stick to the same places all the time. That you may not know about other places. That pretty much remote work is word of mouth. From my experiences on learning about where to get the best jobs, talking to other people, and these kind of job lists all of them have come to me that I've found from someone else. So this is me pointing you at all of these and saying, please, y'all, look at this list if you need anything remotely relating to remote work. I see Uncle Social saying about the last one about targeting people internationally for SEO. You would have no idea how to target U.S. consumers, that we may speak the same language. He's in the UK, and I pronounce a lot of words incorrectly, but as a country, it's as foreign to me as any other. That's a very different culture, and you're right. I don't know how to target UK audiences. Like, I really don't know what necessarily appeals. Even in fitness and gaming, like I used to do a lot of video game blogging, that the friends that I made in the UK had a very different idea on the same games that I did, very different mindsets. And it was really cool getting to know them through that. And just the very different cultures. To go on just a very brief tangent, I thought it was interesting. I met Mac from Elegant Themes, other videos if you've probably seen Mac, and we were talking about meat. That I'm from the American South, where there are cows and farmland just pretty much everywhere. I grew up and there were cows in my front yard, and we're like, oh, we have to call him again to get it out. And Mac didn't have any beef, and there's very little farmland there. So it was interesting that my father-in-law can go down the road and he knows a guy where he can buy half a cow and get it and know what it was fed and all of that. And that's something that isn't necessarily available in Birmingham where Mac works. It's very interesting to me to see that. Just in the London area, I don't even think about that. But it's like even in big cities, like around me in Nashville, you go 10 minutes outside, farmland. And so those kinds of cultures, that kind of difference in culture plays into SEO too. That's like, I wouldn't know, like, because meat is so abundant in the United States that whenever I'm talking about diets and things like that on my blog, that may not be nearly the same advice for someone to be able to get that same kind of grocery list in a different country. May not be the same, even though, the nutrition requirements are the same, the actual availability of the food products might not be, and the quality of them may be lower than is ideal. So yeah, that kind of stuff is absolutely true. Also, saying words incorrectly, I have to ask, do you say aluminum or aluminium? Because I don't know why, it's a stereotype, but I absolutely love the sound of aluminium. So I've only got just a few more minutes left on here, so I just wanted to run down the last few things here to really let you know what's going on. and what you can look forward to by clicking any of the links in the description, so that you can give the content creators who put this a little bit of love to keep them putting out the good content like this. There's one that I found on WP Lift that's these 15 tips will turn you into a Gutenberg master. With 5.0 coming out, y'all, you need to learn how to use Gutenberg. Whether or not you use Gutenberg, I don't care. You need to know how it works. That it does not matter. It's here. Don't matter what we care about it. Don't matter what we like about it. Wow, my Southern came out on that one. I'm very, wow. It doesn't matter what we think about it. It doesn't matter if we're going to use it. We need to know how it works. And it's lists like this that will get us up to speed to be able to really and truly help people decide whether or not it's the tool for them. They've got a Smashing Magazine has use cases for Flexbox that if you're a designer or front-end developer and you're using Flexbox, or you are looking at Flexbox, these are great. You will, I've heard nothing but good things about Flexbox. And I've never used it, but this one's really cool. Torque also did a Why You Will Never Win Without Google AdSense. This one was true. It's getting everything set up and setting it up for your content, and AdSense is the big one. I mean, if you're going to do anything, even though in relation to other sources of revenue that it's not, what's the word, a meaningful part of your revenue stream, it's there, and it can be a decent enough percentage. So set it up. You need to have AdSense on it, even if you hate Google. They're the ones who still do all of the ads, really. And TorqueMag also did a Do You Need to Know React as a WordPress developer? Because Gutenberg is written in React. The Divi builder is written in React. So, do you guys need to know React? No. You can use JavaScript for it. You can use any of the other you don't have to use specifically React for that. Makes it easier. It's good. Probably should learn JavaScript. But if you're really wanting to dig in on Divi, if you're really wanting to use our developer hooks, if you're really wanting to use Gutenberg to its fullest extent and create blocks and really dig in on this ecosystem, React's a really good idea to learn. They also, the very last thing on here is from Divi Booster, that one of the issues that we have had come up is in the past with Divi is that the maps module can slow down pages because of the way it pulls the maps. And so Divi Booster posted how to stop the map module from loading the Google Maps scripts before you want it to. So everybody wants a faster site. But that's the end of it, guys. That was pretty much all I had today. Thank you for coming and joining us and talking, and it was awesome. I do this every Friday afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern on the Elegant Themes YouTube channel and on the Elegant Themes Facebook page. So make sure that you click the notification bell, subscribe, and to get notifications of when we go live, because it's not just me, it is Jason Donieta and Matt going live as well. And then on Facebook, you can tell them that you want notifications of any page that you like for when they go live. If you haven't set that up, do it for us. It's good. It's good stuff. You can also make it where it's not a push notification. It just shows up in your notifications too. So I've done that with some of them. Good stuff. Thank you guys for coming out. Like I said, thank you for always making Friday afternoon go just a little bit faster. Be sure to check the description of this video for any of the links that you want to follow, because they're there for you, and I put them together so that hopefully you'll get some use out of them. And if you have anything to say, if you need to comment or anything at all, you know where to find me. I'm always on Twitter. I'm always here. You can shoot me an email at bj@elegantthemes.com. And make sure that you check out our next live stream at 6 a.m. Eastern Time with Mac going over the new feature releases in Divi, and this week it should be the hover options, because our new hover options are out. Update Divi and make sure that you get them, and then watch Mac show you how to use them and walk you through it. So I will see you guys next Friday, and bye Alexander, bye everybody else, and thank you so very much. I absolutely love you guys. I really, really do. And as a final thing, Uncle Social is right. Everyone, remember to donate blood and be as awesome as other people who donate blood. So I will see you next week, and y'all have a fantastic weekend.